These are some antique high impedance earphones that I did a video on a while back. And as I was trying to show things, I was realizing that the cable was just falling apart. It's literally disintegrating. And so I said I was going to set out on a mission to replace that. Well, this stuff failed. The impedance, actually just the DC resistance, is just way too high. So I'm going to pull it out of my drawstring, and I bought this thing. It was like $2 instead of, I think this was 16 or something. I have to go look it up, but yeah. So I'm going to use the cheap one and see if that works. I've already tested it with the ohm meter, and instead of being, like mega ohm type resistance, this is very low resistance. So yeah, it should work. It's going to be a little less flexy, but I guess I've got to live with that. Okay, I'm going to start chopping on things, pulling things out, and rethreading, and yeah, I'll be back in a little bit and show you what I got done. For anyone in the future who might be restoring these back to factory condition, I have noticed that instead of using a lug out here, they kind of did their own thing. Because this wire inside of the headphone is so thin, that they've done a trick that I've learned myself. And what you do is you take that very thin wire, which you can just barely see right there, and you wrap it with a stouter wire all the way down here. And along the way it'll make contact and it'll support it. It won't be as fragile. And then you can see over here they wrapped it with thread. And so what it does is it forms a loop like this. Get my hands out of the way like that. And then they put this loop over the brass peg, just like it would be a lug. So that would be together and wrapped together like that. And then they put the nut and washer on top of there. So if you're restoring one of these and you want to know the actual technique for dealing with this ultra-fine wire, flexible wire that they used, that is how they did the ends on them. I've been trying to get these nuts on these posts, and I've used my tweezers and my forceps, and I was getting really frustrated, and finally I just said, if I had a tube like this and I could just push it down on there like that, I could get them started like that, and all would be well with the world. Yeah. In this case, I'm just using a piece of shrink wrap because I got like 50 million different sizes. But anyway, I can put them in there, and now I can use the forceps or whatever to tighten them down. But anyway, just little hint that you may have the perfect tool just sitting around, and yeah, it could be right in front of you, and all you have to do is pick it up and use it. I have cut off the ends of this cable, and you can see it used to be a 3.5 millimeter stereo cable with these what do they call them, Motorola jacks, I think, on each end. And these were the ends that had the Motorola jacks. I have just threaded them up through there. I nibbled through the side of the main right here. There we go. I nibbled through the side. Now I need to stitch these back together. It won't be beautiful because I'm not much of a seamstress. And then it runs down here. The two wires run down here. And I ordered a very long, there we go, that's better. Ordered a very long piece, so I'll be cutting some of this off as soon as I get everything mounted in there. But yeah, it looks like I will have something workable. It may not be beautiful, but it'll be workable. And for those of you who have better sewing skills, you could probably make this look just like the original. Okay, I'm going to keep working on it, and I will get back with an update pretty soon. So to do this Y connection, it was pretty simple. This is like zip cord, and you can peel it apart like that. And to prepare to feed the wire into this cloth drawstring, what I did is I just nipped a little hole right there in the side of it. In hindsight, I probably could have teased apart the fabric and snuck the wire through between the threads, but I did not. Anyway, I nipped it through there, and then I kept it from fraying with this liquid thread stuff. And I just circled the wound, if you will, so made a little cut, little circular cut in there, coated it with that, and then I took a second piece of the cord, and again I treated the edge of that to keep it from fraying, and then I just began stitching the two things together. And again, if I were a better seamstress and had the right color thread and everything, that would pretty much be made invisible. Yeah, I just fed one side up one way and one side up the other, and then through the earpieces, I'll show you one side. Let's zoom in here so you can see better what's going on. There we go. There's the diaphragm, and there's a piece of copper that shouldn't be in there. But yeah, let's get a pointy thing. And here is the live side here, and here is the ground side there. And yeah, the other side is exactly the same, except this wire is red. So this is the center of this coax cable. So there's two sides, and each side is coaxial, and so therefore it has two conductors, a ground and a live. And yeah, so I fed the ground up to one side and the center connector up to the other, and soldered on some brass connectors. The original just had this really fancy twisted wire loop that was then soldered and whatever. But yeah, and did that to both sides. Now the bottom end I left unattached, and that is because I wanted to experiment either connecting these in serial or in parallel. And yeah, I did both. I will make a video on using these because it's a little bit more involved how I decided to use it in my current crystal radios. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I guess I should point out that down here where the cloth cable comes in, I used some of this stuff. It is in Spanish, I think, and Chinese. So this is basically what they call liquid stitching. And yeah, you can use it in place of thread and needle, as at least that's what they advertise. And so to stabilize these ends, to keep them from fraying and also to keep them from pulling back through, once I fed the wires in through the back side with the cloth, I treated the edge of the cloth, and that makes the cloth actually too thick to pull back out. So double function, it keeps the cloth from fraying, and it also acts to hold it in place, and again to keep it from pulling all the way out. Okay, so that was it for this update on these old headphones. Do they work? Well, yeah, of course they work. And again, I will post another video on how to make them work with your crystal radio, because these electromagnetic type are, well, they just don't operate the same way as the piezoelectrics. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this video, and again, I will post another one on actually using this. Okay, hope you found that useful and interesting in your crystal radio and other experimentations.